You know, Brute is such an interesting character to say the least. Whether you love or hate him, you can't deny how unique and funny he is in practically any situation. He can either be this hulking beast of a man who easily mows people down with his minigun without a second thought, to being an extremely friendly and goofy guy in the corner holding a burger, being nothing more than a giant human teddy bear you want a big bear hug from. Yet despite how simple his playstyle may be in-game, all his weapons always offer something for everyone, whether you want to take the game seriously or not. Even if most people don't play him that often, he's certainly the most memorable character out of the entire TC2 cast, especially with the massive amount of joke voice lines Brute has, thanks to his awesome voice actor Tiny Chuck. Anyway, here's your quick disclaimer before I start. Stereotypes don't mean everyone, blah blah blah. There are always exceptions to these stereotypes, so just take them with a heavy grain of salt. This video is just for the sake of satire and comedy. Do you get it now? Alright, good. Let's begin.
Well, this is my stock weapon, so what can I say about it? It's extremely powerful in most situations if you know how to position yourself and know when to rev up. It's guaranteed to turn anyone into Swiss cheese who is stupid enough to face me head on when this is fully revved up. Though this could be applied to any of the other miniguns available to me. But anyway, it's the most consistent and reliable minigun available. So it's either the new player who started who has no unlocks, or the person who knows it's arguably the best minigun and will always use it no matter what. But the stereotypes can change depending on what minigun variant they use, such as them using it only because they have a strange minigun, or they have a reskin of it such as the Groovy grinder. But if you see a high level with a stock minigun, expect them to be purely all business, always trying to complete the objective and trying their hardest to win, which is pretty respectable.
How can that bike keep holding you up?
Pull yourself some bitches, brother. Man, you're just a savage.
God bless you, friend. Huh?
This is just a stock reskin, so all the same stereotypes from stock also apply here, but with some minor differences. You're probably only using this weapon because you don't have a strange minigun, so you saw this reskin as your next best option, or you don't want the new player stigma attached to you as well. You can sometimes see small discussions in the community about the Groovy grinder on whether people love or hate this reskin. There's no in between. Most of the discussions come from how this reskin looks and sounds in-game. The revving sound is notorious for being deafening to some people, while some people argue that it's quieter than stock, but it's usually agreed upon that it's much louder than stock, which is why you'll constantly see so many of these guys getting immediately backstabbed whenever they decide to rev up. In some rare cases, you might even see someone use a strangified and or painted version of this reskin if you're lucky enough, so you should expect these guys to be much more competent than the average Brute player if you do run into them. Although, considering how janky TC2's drop system can be, these guys can be an absolute wild card, so expect anything to happen if you see these guys in-game.
Katana in gun form. Nobody actually uses this weapon seriously. I'm willing to bet $5 that nobody watching this video actually uses the first responder as seriously as the stock minigun. It's undeniably the least used Brute primary in the game, so you won't see most people using it except for a few specific reasons. You'll more often see this weapon used by newer players who thought they'd be completely invincible after seeing that this minigun gives 33% of their health back on kill. But they're some of the easiest people to kill in the entire game since most of them have a tendency of being overly aggressive and will constantly throw themselves into the whole enemy team, somehow expecting to win. Most of them didn't even bother to read any of its major downsides, such as it making you take 2 damage for every shot, and its negative 100% healing from healer's penalty whenever you're spun up, making doctors and dispensers completely useless to you while you're revved up and shooting. This is why you'll only see them managing to kill flankers or other random clueless players on their best attempts. Still, you'll usually see them dying at random times either in spawn when they're first testing it out, not knowing that it drains your health when you shoot it, or when someone gets too close to them. Their panic firing usually kills them before the actual enemy does, which is pretty funny to see. They're basically free points since they're about as durable as a thin glass window.
I was born with glass bones and paper skin.
More often than not though, they're just asking for a pocket doctor in the most passive-aggressive way possible. Even though you could just ask someone on your team, just saying. And sure, some of them might only use this because if the doctor on their team sucks, they'd just rather take the responsibility of healing themselves into their own hands instead of relying on someone else who doesn't even know what they're doing. You'll almost always see these guys using the special op Sushi or Robar, since they're the only good food items that can counter the take 2 damage per shot downside this minigun has, so don't expect them to use anything else unless they're completely clueless. But overall, this weapon is completely ignored and non-existent to most players because the people who still use it only got bored and wanted to try out something new for a change. And don't get me wrong, the weapon itself isn't as bad as some people say since you can still do some pretty good damage and sweep entire teams by yourself with this weapon. It's just that it forces you to be more independent and play smarter with good positioning instead of mindlessly walking forward and relying on a pocket doctor 24/7. Like how all high-level brute mains do. It's still a little gimmicky at times, but it can still do a decent enough job if you play your cards right. Just try not to steal these guys' kills, since they won't get health back on assists. And stealing their kills makes them die a little bit on the inside, so try to avoid doing that whenever possible, unless you're a complete sociopath who likes making other people suffer. But before we move on to the next weapon, most people, and especially higher level players, will always call the first responder the worst minigun for brute in the entire game. They hate it so much that they'll avoid it like the plague, and they'll probably think you're intentionally torturing yourself or joking around if you seriously try to use this weapon. They'll sometimes get bullied, or questioned by other people, whenever they mention that they like using this weapon unironically. Here's an example of how it usually goes.
Hey, what's up?
Yo, what's good? What the
Yo,
fuck
can I
is
get a
this, dog?
spot?
What the fuck is this?
Nah, bro, get that shit out of here.
What's wrong with
Get
it?
out of here.
Okay. Oh
Yeah,
my
get down
god.
here.
What the fuck? The hell? Why are they so mean, bro?
Speaking of that, there's actually a funny comment about the first responder I found in the TC2 Discord while I was researching this weapon. Now, where is it? Ah, here we go. Let me just dim the lights really quickly. This person said, end quote, "The first responder is like having a stick up your ass and you like it." End quote. Truly inspiring indeed. Anyways, let's move on before this gets any weirder, shall we? You'd think this would be an extremely common minigun to see in TC2 since it's nearly identical to TF2's version despite it only having a 25% smaller clip size, but you couldn't be more wrong. It more or less just exists at this point where most people will see it and acknowledge it, but will never actually use it because it's usually overshadowed by most other brute primaries such as the stock minigun and M249. It's honestly really sad to see. Anyways, they're probably only using this as a crutch, since they need the silent rev up to either hear for agent decloaking sounds, since they're basically deaf whenever they rev up any other minigun, or they keep getting caught out every time they rev up with any other minigun, so they need the silent rev up to even be effective in the first place. You'll usually just see them camping in a random corner or hallway, just waiting for someone to run by them while they're fully revved up, just waiting for some free kills to pop up. They could also be going for a combo-based or flank-heavy loadout, usually pairing this with the Deathblow, stock shotgun, dire donut, battle burrito, or stock fists, but any weapon can honestly work with this. They'll usually be a lot more aggressive than the average brute, just ambushing people when they least expect it, but each playstyle usually depends on which map they're on. Otherwise, they might be a fat flanker using this as a backup weapon, since it quickly revs up in case they miss all their shotgun shots. You can often see them just trying to be a discount marksman with this minigun, just constantly poking at enemies from long range, regardless of how far away they are, especially if there's any marksmen and sentries on the enemy team, always hard focusing them no matter what. But believe it or not, this weapon used to be a lot more popular back in the old days of TC2, until the M249 showed up. Since the M249 just does the whole job of being a combo and ambush weapon way easier than the Tomi-Slav for most people. It's why you'll often see most M249 users just say something along the lines of, "Why even use the Tomi-Slav if the M249 exists?" Now, I'm not saying the Tomi-Slav is bad or anything, it's just that it's been heavily overshadowed by the M249 since it's way easier to use. So if it got nerfed in some way, I guarantee a lot of M249 users would go back to using the Tomi-Slav in a heartbeat. Although, if you think the Tomi-Slav is garbage, go try it out for a bit and see how this weapon works out for you. You'll be pleasantly surprised with what you can pull off with this in the right situation, especially with the silent rev up. It's an extremely underrated weapon that's just been overlooked by almost everyone, and the people who still use this seriously know how good it is, especially when you compare it to the M249.
The M249 brings out a much more unique playstyle compared to the traditional minigun, but that doesn't exempt it from stereotypes, so let's go over them. To start off, we got the new player, the ones that saw the 67% damage bonus, and primarily, the ability to fire without needing to rev up the gun. They opt to use this over the stock minigun as they hate the constant need to rev up and believe it can be just as potent as stock, even if it might not be as potent as they may think. Despite this, they'll usually kill only light classes, so don't expect them to cause too much damage to the opposing team. These players can also be spotted with hats like the Gaulish Gibbous or the TC2 cap, further exemplifying them as newer players, so don't expect much trouble to spot these guys in game. Next up, we got the combo and flank heavy brutes. These guys tend to be much more aggressive and independent than the traditional brute player and will sport much more aggressive options, such as the stock shotgun, Deathblow, Diardona, and Battle Burrito for secondaries, and the boxing gloves or stock fists for their melees. Even then, this weapon can be paired with anything and will do well. These brutes are quite good at their job, so you should expect some fun competition if you see one rolling around. And finally, we got the fat flankers that use it as a great backup weapon thanks to the gun's ability to fire without needing to rev up. They'll usually compare this gun to the similarly used Tomi-Slav and see which one is better as the silent combo minigun, though both are quite good in their own terms. Now, that is it for how people can use it, but it would be a crime to not talk about how much it gets despised by players. Some people really do not like when a player uses the M249, and they will start complaining about how it is a crutch for bad players since you don't need to know about good positioning and when to rev up. Other times they'll say that the Tomi-Slav is a better version of the weapon despite how different they function. Heck, they'll sometimes even insult the person directly. I was given a list of what they can say, so here's the following responses. Saying they need a crutch, saying they cannot aim somehow, saying that they are fatherless, or toxic, or a fun hater, or a nerd, or even stating that they want you tied to a stake and burned down like you were a witch back in the Salem witch trials. Despite this list, these responses are quite rare. It is likely to just say, "Ew, an M249 user," if they see one. While there might be an argument on whether or not inexperienced players use the M249 as it does not need to be revved up, it is not that big of a crutch as many players will claim. The M249 presents itself as a perfectly fine side grade to the stock minigun that shakes things up between the brute using it and the people against that said brute.
WM1 but for brute. Hey you. Yeah, you. Do you want to absolutely ruin everyone's day? Want to immediately remove any and all hope of the enemy team having any amount of fun? Do you enjoy inflicting pain and suffering on other living beings? Are you a bad person? If you said yes to any of these, you should probably seek psychiatric help, or alternatively, use the Maxine. Is what I would have said a while back until the Maxine got nerfed into irrelevance. Yeah, nobody uses this anymore. Ever since the devs nerfed the Maxine in the summer update, all the tryhard brute mains who dominated servers with this weapon just completely ditched this weapon the moment they saw all the nerfs in-game. It's kinda funny to see how the Maxine used to be the king of brute primaries for tryhards back in the day, and they would defend it religiously at any chance they got whenever someone would say it needed a small nerf, constantly saying how it was perfectly balanced. Even though its only downside was a small ammo drain that didn't even matter half the time. It used to be a massive war pig, and the guys who used this knew exactly what they were doing, just going around stomping entire servers with their pocket doctors as they pleased. Now most of these guys have vanished, while everyone else celebrated that it finally got nerfed. So you really shouldn't expect to see them in game anymore, other than a new player trying it out, someone trying to relive the old glory days of this being a direct upgrade to stock, or you just hate people having fun to begin with. There's nothing else to it. I'd also like to mention that the tryhards who only made Brute because they knew how broken the Maxine was back then, completely crashed out when their direct upgrade to the stock minigun finally got nerfed. And I'll just say this to the tryhards who constantly complain that the Maxine is now basically worthless after its nerf. The Maxine back then was nothing more than a crutch for bad players like you. It's what everyone else thought of you when you used the Maxine, and you can't change anyone's mind. Complain all you want. It won't bring back the old Maxine. Hey, I'm not proud of it too. Despite this weapon rarely being used or liked by most players, this weapon still has a lot of stereotypes to talk about. You'll mainly see 3 types of people use this weapon. First off, you've got the clueless new player. They saw this weapon had a 15% damage bonus and immediately bought it without bothering to read the rest of its stats. They're usually free points 9 times out of 10 because they're pretty much blind and deaf even if they're revved up or not. It doesn't help that once they do decide to rev up, these guys will try to become the Great Wall of China itself. You could send a whole 10-player push to these guys and they would still stand their ground, completely refusing to run away or move. But that's not all. They'll also jump right in front of the entire enemy team, somehow expecting to wipe them all out, but they'll immediately die within the first 3 seconds of showing their face. Then we have these guys. Yeah, these guys. These guys are high-level players who constantly get pocketed by a doctor and attempt to curb stomp the entire enemy team in the most unfun way possible. Their entire gimmick is just to pub stomp and spawn camp the entire enemy team at any chance they get. If they do manage to spawn camp your team, you might as well switch servers since the rest of their team almost always joins them in spawn camping your entire team as well. It sometimes gets so bad you can't even go outside or spawn anymore without feeding the other team free kills and points, which usually causes the team being spawn camped to leave, effectively killing the server. They're almost always friends in a private call, so just expect to not have any fun if these guys join your server. Anyway, here are some of the more general stereotypes associated with this weapon before I talk about the third type of person you'd see using this weapon. You'll most often see these guys on payload, attack defend, and on CTF maps, usually going for an extremely defensive playstyle. Or if they're on payload offense, these guys will always be cart brutes. There's no argument about it. And why wouldn't they? The cart removes the slower movement penalty this weapon has, and it gives you constant health and ammo while completing the objective. It's the go-to strat for playing as a biker's Blitz brute on payload offense. But if we're being honest here, most people don't like this weapon because they don't bother to change their way of playing brute, and usually give up after 2 attempts with this weapon. Or they're turning themselves into human sentries, the most well-known stereotype for this weapon. They'll usually camp near dispensers, in front of the cart on payload, and near or directly on top of the intel on CTF. Or, in the rarest situation possible, these guys are trying to speedrun a fall span. And trust me, I would know.
The brute is in Sentry.
Are you kidding me? No.
Uh-oh.
If you're running this, you're either a new player who hasn't unlocked anything for brute, so you only have this, you're someone who knows how reliable and consistent the stock shotgun is, or you're just messing around as a fat flanker. It's almost always guaranteed to see them running the stock fists, or the boxing gloves, because of how well these melees can work with the stock shotgun. But any other melee can also work. But because of how reliable the stock shotgun is, these guys can still be super helpful to you and your team. So just try to help them out whenever you can, and they'll definitely put in some good work. Nobody uses these weapons on brute unless you're a fat flanker messing around and not taking anything seriously. Or you're a hipster who constantly tries to convince people how both of these weapons are extremely underrated, saying that they should ditch using the Deathblow and other shotguns and should use these weapons instead, even though nobody listens to you. It's not like these weapons are bad or anything, it's just that they're extremely ignored. Or on the other hand, you're only using these because your daily contract forced you to. Thanks for nothing, Miss Charlie. Generally speaking, Bulletstorm users are super aggressive and willing to get into people's faces, or they're only using this to steal other people's kills from the Black Death, Skullbuster, and Aerial Bomber, while Crankenstein users are using it as a combo weapon or panic weapon. You can sometimes see them go on a massive tear with these weapons, but it's super unlikely since they can't aim to begin with and beef all their shots. But you really shouldn't expect to see them that often in-game, if anything. You're either a new clueless player who can't aim to begin with, so you use this as a crutch since it has 2 more shots than the stock shotgun, or like most other shotgun secondaries, you're just playing fat flanker. The competent players who use this are definitely aware of what they're doing, since they know about Brute's other secondary options, but choose to use this as their main weapon. So if you see someone using this weapon who isn't obviously new, just try not to underestimate them, since they can still do some good damage in the right situation. These guys are usually going for a combo-based loadout, usually pairing this with the Tomi-Slav, M249, stock fists, or boxing gloves. And in rare cases, they'll sometimes use the Eviction Notice as well, but anything can honestly work with this weapon. They also tend to be a sweaty tryhard who uses this like the stock shotgun, and since they tend to be better than the average TC2 player, they essentially have a direct upgrade to the stock shotgun, making them a lot more dangerous than most players. It's pretty easy to tell if they're sweating since they'll constantly spam switch it during a fight. You can also see newer players trying to mimic these guys, but they tend to miss all their shots easily even at point blank, which commonly results in their demise. Similar to the Robar, many players try to use this to supplement their lack of a pocket. New players will run in thinking that the 100 extra overheal will let them mow down the entire enemy team and live to tell the tale, and then they immediately die 5 seconds after jumping in. You'll see more experienced players just use it to only give overheal to their pocket doctors, or they're taking matters into their own hands to get overheal themselves, since doctors keep ignoring them. They'll sometimes go around spreading free overheal to the rest of their teammates before the round starts, making them absolute team players, which is super nice of them. Just like the Robar, some brutes will pair this with the first responder to negate the 2 damage per shot debuff that weapon has. You can also sometimes see them using this with the biker's Blitz to turn themselves into tankier human sentry guns as well, so they don't die as quickly whenever they rev up. Some brutes also use it with the Fists of Steel to cross unfair sightlines without dying to a marksman instantly. They're usually more independent and tend to go off away from their team. However, you really won't run into these guys that often in-game, but if you do, just remember they're asking for a pocket doctor in the most subtle way possible whenever they use this food item. You're not taking the game seriously at all, since pretty much everyone knows this food item is a meme weapon at best, meaning you won't see this used by most serious players. So if you do see someone using this, you should expect their only real goal once they eat the turkey is just to go around punching the crap out of anyone they see in front of them. They'll basically only use the boxing gloves, warrior spirit, and maybe the fists and eviction notice in rarer cases. Or they're actually trying to use this food item seriously, doing that one flank heavy playstyle, almost always pairing this with the M249 or Tomi-Slav, with the boxing gloves, just trying to farm free crits off of clueless players, so they can try to wipe out the entire enemy team in a single go when they least expect it, usually ending up in 3 situations. 1. They actually manage to get their crits, and they'll go on a massive tear just wiping out most of the enemy team. 2. They manage to only kill one person or nobody at all, but manage to survive during each attempt. It's somewhat frustrating to look at since they're not really helping their team, but it's whatever. Or 3. They seriously underestimate the enemy team and immediately get shredded to pieces by them, or they get blown up by a random sentry once they have the crits while they're chasing someone down to get more crits. You can see them constantly dying whenever they do this, so they're basically free funds half the time, which is the most common situation to see them in. It's kinda sad that the Tenacious Turkey is limited to a super specific playstyle of brute, even if you want to use it effectively as a meme secondary. Its super strict gimmicks are why most people don't even bother to use it in the first place. So if you see a Tenacious Turkey user in-game, just don't expect them to get anything meaningful done. But if you do see someone go on a massive tear with the boxing gloves or some other melee with this secondary, it'll be more of a fun surprise if anything. Or they may have anger issues and want to take it out on others.
Jeez, Brute's more wound up than when you ate that random piece of turkey you found.
Peter, could you please pass the potato?
Ah! Damn it, agent!
These guys are definitely fat flankers. There's no question about it. The main thing about them though is that they can either be a complete joke who misses all their shots and dies immediately, or they're an absolute beast who can solo an entire team by themselves using only this shotgun. It doesn't matter how many bullets or explosives you shoot at them, since they'll immediately heal back to almost full health after any kill and continue to massacre your teammates like some kind of otherworldly monster. They almost always run the stock fists or boxing gloves with the M249, since these weapons complement this shotgun extremely well. You can sometimes see newer players using this since they saw that a burger drops on kill with this weapon, so they'll try to use this to farm burgers so they can become immortal, feeling extremely overconfident in the process, which usually gets them killed in the end since they can't aim to begin with. I'm genuinely surprised that almost nobody uses this shotgun despite how extremely underrated and powerful it is in the right hands. A few people know how good this weapon is and still choose to ignore it in their loadouts for some reason. But generally speaking, these guys tend to be extremely independent and usually go off on their own away from their team, not needing a pocket doctor at all. However, you shouldn't expect them to share their burgers with you since they'll just vacuum them all up the moment a single one drops. Conjurer, but for brute. The only reasons why you'd see someone using the Robar is that they're either using the first responder and want to counter the take 2 damage per shot debuff that weapon has, since the Robar will let you passively regenerate 20 health every second, and 33% of all the damage you deal while under its effect is given back as health, which pairs decently well with the first responder. They could also be super desperate for a pocket doctor, so they'll use this as a discount version of them, even though the special ops Sushi does it way better. Or on the lower side of the skill scale, there are new players who thought the passive regeneration and dealing damage for health buffs the Robar gives would make them invincible, so once they eat it, they'll immediately try to take on the entire enemy team by themselves, thinking they'll somehow win, but will immediately die within the first 7 seconds of trying to do that. But you'll most commonly see these guys on VSB, pairing this with the Eviction Notice to basically become invincible, since the amount of health they can recover and damage they can deal with this combo is pretty nutty at times. You can often see people complain about this playstyle since they'll either say it's nearly impossible to kill these guys as bosses, to which these guys will either say skill issue or simply cope, even though these guys constantly have a pocket doctor on them, and how the boss's melee damage is reduced when 2 or more bosses show up, but I guess we won't talk about that. These guys are either some of the nicest or greediest people you'll ever meet in TC2. On one hand, they'll always share their food with you no matter what, giving it to you even if they have extremely low health themselves, making them team players. Since they tend to care about their team a lot more than the average brute, it's the main reason why doctors love to pair up with these guys so often, since it's a good trade-off for both parties involved. Their extreme kindness is super sad to see since some of these guys will still give away their food to their teammates, even if they're about to die themselves. Then you have the guy who only saves their burger for themselves and refuses to share it with their teammates at all. Even if they see you at low health, they still won't give it to you, and they'll probably still eat it in front of you even though they took like 3 points of damage.
I'm about to die! Pass me your burger!
Nope, sorry. I took 3 points of damage. I need it more than you do. This burger isn't half bad.
Whenever a newer player uses this food item, they'll sometimes eat it in the middle of a fight, thinking it'll out-heal the damage they're taking, even though it's making them super vulnerable. Which is why you can sometimes catch them off guard while they're eating. You can do whatever you want with them while they're eating, as long as you don't get too overconfident with them. There's also the chance they're only using this because they have a strange version of it and they feel obligated to use it, or they have a pocket doctor girlfriend and they need to heal them. And for the Jolly Bread reskin, most people don't even bother to use it anymore, and only use it for trading or flexing if they have a genuine quality of it. But generally speaking, if you see someone using this food item, just make sure to help them out whenever you can, and they'll almost always return the favor when you really need it.
Yo, come on, man, I can't have shit in this house!
You're only using these because you want to use the Brash burger, but don't have the patience for it to fully charge back. It's a nice alternative to the Brash burger if you want to be more independent and mobile, since they both have quicker recharge times and the amount of healing they can give is still pretty good when compared to the Brash burger. Which is why you'll typically see them doing their own thing away from their team most of the time, and being a lot more aggressive and active compared to most other brutes. They'll usually use the M249 and Maxine, but any other primary can also work with these food items. They're basically saying, "Pfft, I don't need a pocket doctor. I'll get the job done myself.
Look out!
On the other hand, you're one of those guys who only use these food items to grind points legitimately by turning yourself into a food dispenser. Just throwing these at any teammates you see, regardless of their health, to get free points for your stranges and farm funds in the process. Otherwise, they actually care about their teammates, so they'll use it to spread some form of healing among everyone on their team, which is super nice, especially if they don't have a competent doctor or mechanic on their team healing them and everyone else. Just try to stick with them whenever you can, since if you need healing, 9 times out of 10, they'll toss you their food, which is super kind of them. For the dire donut itself, you'll more often see it used by M249 and Maxine users since it gives free ammo and healing, so they don't have to look for ammo packs themselves. It's also well known for being a discount version of the Battle Burrito with the extra benefit of giving ammo, so add another cent to the counter. Or you're a fan of The Simpsons since it looks almost exactly the same as the pink donut does in the show, so add another cent. Meanwhile, for the Battle Burrito, you're just using this if you want to focus more on healing and don't mind losing out on free ammo. Oh, and before I move on to the next weapon, I'll quickly cover each of the reskins by themselves. So just take a look at the top left to see what I'm talking about. Okay, here we go. You're either just hoarding these up as a joke, have a bunch in your inventory but don't want them since the game keeps dropping them to you, so you hate this reskin for it taking up your inventory space, you're using this in trading servers, you don't have a strange Battle Burrito so you'll use this as a substitute, or you're a fan of Sonic the Hedgehog. Either way, most people tend to not like this reskin. You either think this reskin is way better than the Diggity Dog or Battle Burrito because of how good it looks, you're using this in trading because it's much more valuable compared to the Diggity Dog since people actually want this reskin, or you might see some people call this a nanner for some odd reason. You just love to shred your insides in GI tract by munching on metal and random wiring like it's the grilled onion burger from McDonald's. Unfortunately, most of these reskins tend to be locked away in people's inventories as shiny trophies or trading material rather than actually using them in-game.
Peter, what are you boys doing up there? Get off the roof!
Go back in the house, Lois. We're being Jackass. Okay, ready? All right, we're rolling. I'm Peter Griffin, and this is Shopping Cart Roof Shopping Cart, guys. Okay, go! Ow, 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 ow.
This is how you eat a Big Mac, brother.
Eat it, buddy.
What the fuck?
Too slow, fatty.
Let's be real. You suck. Jumps right into your grave.
You really like punching the crap out of your enemies, and who can blame you? The sound effect of punching someone and seeing their corpse getting launched away from you is satisfying to see, especially if they were an annoying marksman, flanker, or agent main who was bothering you. Pure bliss can easily be achieved by giving someone a knuckle sandwich when they least expect it. Now where could you be, agent?
Right behind you.
But in all seriousness, it's an amazing melee that's pretty much used by everyone regardless of their skill level and or playstyle. Everyone from fat flankers, stock purists, combo brutes, or brutes who run food items to become food snipers almost always chooses this melee first. It's the best all-round melee for brute, so there's something for everyone with this weapon. But generally speaking, these guys are either pretty new and don't have any unlocks for brute yet, or they're a more serious player who knows how reliable and consistent this melee can be, with its amazing passive benefits and no extra cost. Just thank the stars that the TC2 developers made the stock fists extremely viable, unlike TF2's version.
Bigger they are, the harder they want.
You really think a single stab from a 5-inch knife is going to kill me? I've dealt with multiple slashes from saws to cutlasses. Now it's time for you to kill yourself. Now! Fuck you, you fucking bitch-ass eat shit!
Nobody uses this weapon except for new players. I have no idea why all competent brute players completely ignore this melee, but that's how it is. It's almost always seen on newer players who got attracted to the speed boost on kill this weapon offers, and will always try to melee fight the very first person they see to get it, usually dying immediately because they'll instantly hard commit to melee combat and completely forget that they have a minigun and shotgun in the first place. It doesn't help that these guys almost always wear the gibbous, the TC2 cap, or have no cosmetics on, so it reinforces the whole only new players use this melee stereotype this weapon has. For the more experienced players using this weapon, you can usually see them use this with the Tenacious Turkey to just mess around with double speed boosts, or completely negate the damage penalty this melee has. They're sometimes terrifying to fight against since they can suddenly appear out of nowhere when you least expect it, running at you way faster than you normally expect them to be. Although, you'll most often see them pair it with the Robar in VSB to tank and deal massive amounts of damage easily when they're fighting a boss. Just look back on the Robar to know what I'm talking about since I don't want to repeat myself twice. Or the most obvious stereotype that everyone knows is that these guys are pairing this with the shady character, or Thrilly Thriller, to show that they're a JoJo fan.
自分を知れ。そんな美味しい話があると思うのか。お前のような人間に。なんてひどい野郎。
There are multiple reasons why someone could be using this. They could be a new player who saw this melee gives 5 seconds of guaranteed crits on kill, and they're desperately trying to get those crits to go on a massive tear, but they'll never even get those crits in the first place since they'll decide to throw themselves into the entire enemy team and get mowed down immediately. They also might be a fat flanker or combo brute trying to take advantage of those free crits, usually pairing this with other combo weapons such as the Tomi-Slav, M249, Deathblow, and the stock shotgun. Although, anything else can work as well. Crit boosted shotguns and the faster or near instant rev times of the M249 and Tomi-Slav are nothing to scoff at in the right situation, so take these guys seriously when you can. Or they're a tryhard just farming free crits off of clueless players, going on massive tears just to stomp and dominate entire servers, either by themselves or with a pocket doctor constantly on them 24/7, which is the most common situation to see them in. Although the most common thing you'll see them use this for is comboing this with the Tenacious Turkey with the sole purpose of trying to farm free crits off of clueless players, with the hope of trying to wipe out an entire team in a matter of seconds with this melee's guaranteed crits. They'll almost always use the M249 and Tomi-Slav because of how fast those primaries can take advantage of those free crits. It's considered more of a meme strategy due to how inconsistent this playstyle is, which is why you'll see them more often die and not get anything meaningful done if anything. Usually by overconfidence and overcommitting, but they tend to be more of a nuisance if anything. But you can't really blame them too much since wiping out an entire team by yourself is pretty satisfying. Just don't expect them to get anything done effectively or consistently. Although, just don't be that surprised if they do manage to go on a massive tear with those crits. It's actually kind of scary to play against these guys, since if they're super sneaky, you can get genuinely jump scared from them just killing you out of nowhere when you least expect it. Or you'll see them for a split second before getting one-shotted, just wondering how they managed to get behind you.
Little pig.
The warrior spirit almost shares the exact same stereotypes as the Eviction Notice, with it almost always being used by newer players who wear the gibbous and TC2 cap, it getting completely ignored by confident and tryhard brute players for some reason, and being nothing more than a meme weapon like the Eviction Notice according to most people, etc, etc. There are some slight differences, however. These newer players immediately got attracted to the 10% damage bonus and 12% longer melee range this weapon offers, without noticing it deploys and holsters 50% slower. So they tend to die pretty often since they try to melee fight everyone they see regardless of the situation. They'll either immediately just get shot or get blown up by someone who knows not to get close to them, or they'll manage to miss their melee hits and die from a random Annie Knight, who outranged them with their sword. They'll often try to melee fight entire teams by themselves, thinking the melee damage boost will carry them through the entire fight, even though it won't. And sure, I guess you could mention the guys who only use the warrior spirit for its buffs to counter face stab agents. I mean, I don't blame them. The extended damage and range with bleed on hit can make easy work of agents in the right situation. but it's still 50-50 odds of whether they'll get immediately face stab or not, even with the extended melee range. They'll sometimes pair it with the Deathblow to completely counter the holster and deploy speed buff this melee has, but it's pretty uncommon to see. Or you're just messing around with this melee by pairing it with the ugly Yersidae to be a discount Freddy Fazbear who goes around clawing people to death when they least expect it.
You just hate marksman mains. There's really no other way of explaining it. Although, nobody can really blame you for hating them to begin with. Other than, you know, marksman mains themselves. But anyways, you can often see this melee used by newer and serious players for completely different reasons. It's an amazing utility for helping you tank damage to either escape a bad situation or push up through dangerous sightlines and areas more easily, acting as a discount shield for more serious players. Then you have the newer players. These poor souls usually think they'll be completely invincible once they pull this melee out, thinking, "Ha, you guys can't kill me, I'm basically invincible," before immediately dying to either a random trollper main who market guarded them out of nowhere, getting beaten to death by someone's melee when they pull it out during a 1v1, or charging right into the entire enemy team thinking they'll be fine. It's usually because they forgot to read the fact that this melee makes you take 200% more damage from all melee hits. It's just really sad to see, honestly. It's almost always ignorance or overconfidence that gets these guys killed. But as I mentioned before, 99% of people only use this whenever there's an annoying marksman main on the other team, especially if the map they're on has large and or unfair marksman sightlines. It's also why you might see them use the special ops Sushi with this to make sure they don't instantly die to a headshot. So if you see someone use this strategy against you while you're playing marksman, they're probably super committed to playing brute and have a grudge against you.
You either really like more flank heavy playstyles, or you just messing around with this melee jump boost as a meme weapon, all things considered. You'll often just see these guys randomly jumping around the map and having fun by themselves. They'll sometimes just stand on top of resupply cabinets and spam jump on top of it. So just spam the Wahoo voice line constantly. I mean, it's kind of really annoying at times, since they basically will nuke your entire chat box if you get really close to them. Otherwise, you're one of the 6 people who actually use this melee very seriously. These guys are usually going for more flank heavy playstyle, as I mentioned before. So you'll often see more of them on the maps and have more vertically to them. It's pretty common to see them use the M249 Tomi-Slav, or the Dire Donut, or maybe Deathblow. Just because how quick and snappy these weapons are, it might just suit their playstyle. However, these guys can be very terrifying to go against, especially when they can just appear out of nowhere, out of thin air, when you least expect it. You might also be one of the people who think TC2 developers should add a Super Mario Bros. Jump sound effect to the gravity coil every time you jump with it. Or maybe you're just cosplaying as Mario himself, trying to randomly Goomba stomp people when you least expect it.
Let's ride!
This isn't a melee, it's a mobility tool. It helps you become as quick as me, New York's #1 fastest baseball quickster, Flanker. I'm totally tooting my own horn here, which brings you to my reasons of why you should start maining me, Flanker, instead of Brute. Leaving that fatso in the dust.
Flanker, what are you doing in my recording booth?
I just want it to be recovered again. I got the short end of the stick on these videos and I want a redo.
No, Flanker, get out of here. I've got more important things to deal with.
Alright, fine. This completely sucks.
Hey, Star.
Yeah, what's up?
Can you cover for me on this weapon? I've got to make sure a flanker doesn't come back in here.
Oh, sure.
These guys tend to take the game way more seriously than the average brood main. So you'll often see it used by both tryhard brood mains and serious players alike for the same reason. The 30% speed boost this melee provides is a great mobility tool to help you reach the front lines faster, escape bad situations, or if there's incompetent mechanic mains, mostly on Xbox or even mobile players, that are basically no help to your team, and this is your only crutch to get to the main line faster. The only reason why this melee isn't commonly used by people is the biggest flaw, the Marked for Death debuff. Marked for Death has been a huge problem in this game for a good long while, specifically for the fact that you can see through walls. So it's basically easier just to hard read any brood mains out there, or especially any other classes. But for this one, it's mostly for brood mains. Except for the fact that they just recently patched this in the summer update. Thank you, Axis. Thank you. Thank you, Axis. Thank you. Oh, and for the Squid Coil, which is a reskin of the Speed Coil, it's considered to be the superior reskin to the normal Speed Coil because of how cute and silly this Squid is. I mean, how could you hate this cute little guy? He's just a silly little guy chilling on your arm, and believe it or not, he actually has a name, which is Gerald. Say hi to Gerald whenever you can. These guys might also just like slapping people, but I think the fist attack animation isn't good enough, so they'll use this instead.
Oh, you playing Minecraft. I like your cut, G.
Demon activated. Control becoming a god. Faceless personification. Left arm bazooka.
Badass!
And there you have it, all of Brute's weapon stereotypes covered. Please let me know if there's any major stereotypes I missed or forgot about on any of these weapons. I'm always open to feedback wherever you can find me, whether it's leaving a YouTube comment, messaging me in-game, or in Discord, etc. I'm always trying to get as many opinions as possible to make sure I don't miss anything, so don't feel afraid to chip in with any potential feedback you guys might have for me. I hope you can all see how I'm always trying to improve the quality of these videos. And thank you to all the wonderful people who helped make this video possible. This video wouldn't have turned out the way I wanted it to without your guys' help. And an especially huge thanks to Crowbarrier and Tenderous for creating all the wonderful animations you guys saw throughout this video. So make sure to go check out their channels and subscribe to them to see all the other awesome animations they created on their channels. It would really mean a lot to them if you guys did. Their respective links and animation credits for this video are in the description. I'd also like to thank my lovely assistant Nemi-san as well for helping me improve this video's script quality. Thanks to her, this script sounds way better and is way less yappy compared to my past videos. And thank you to everyone else who helped make this video possible, such as Tiny Chuck, the original voice actor for Brute, for voicing over the stock minigun and other small parts throughout the video. I'm really glad that he's open to sending over voiceovers to anyone if they ask, so thanks Tiny Chuck for helping me with this video. It's not common to see voice actors for any game be this open to sending their fans voiceovers, so make sure to subscribe to him to show that he isn't doing this for nothing. Anyways, I'd also like to thank NYSusHD for creating the thumbnail for this video, Impro100K for enhancing the thumbnail to make it look more visually detailed, Aqua for voicing over the Groovy Grinder and Gravity Coil section, Why Not Be Dead for being the Brute in the First Responder section for the glass bones paper skin scene in the video, Panda Kenji, I Love Vibes Too, and Why Not Be Dead for being the Brutes in the in-game First Responder joke section. Rebel Rudy 20 for making the drawings of me talking to Miss Charlie in the Bulletstormer and Crankenstein section, including her making the drawing of me holding the Squid Coil in the Speed Coil section. She also has a Discord server where she does art commissions, so definitely go check it out after this video. Her art is really amazing. The link will be in the description. Luckygamesspider for voicing over the M249 and Warrior Spirit, including him being the Brute in the Gravity Coil section when he pops out of thin air, and him spamming the Wahoo voice line in the Gravity Coil section, as well as him being the Brute in the Boxing Gloves section as well. Nemi-san for drawing me as the Goku Prowler stare meme, including Gojo's death panel but with me instead of Gojo, her saying, right behind you as an agent in the Fists in-game joke section, and even a couple of other drawings of me and Nemi together you'll see in a minute or two. Rocket Boy Source for making the render of the Pub Stomper, Brute, and Doctor in the Biker's Blitz section, and this Roblox render of my office for my outro. CJ Builds for voicing over Flanker in the Tenacious Turkey animation. Kojak, Hitachi, and Luckygamesspider for helping me make the in-game scene of Brash Burger Brutes not sharing their burger, while also making the I don't need a pocket doctor in-game scene for the Battle Burrito, while also making the in-game joke of Brute punching an agent right behind him. Greensnicks for saying, "Toss me your burger, I'm gonna die," in the Brash Burger in-game joke section. Bushman and Greensnakes for helping me make the in-game Gravity Coil Goomba Stomp joke. Agent 3 for voicing over Flanker in the beginning part of the Speed Coil section. Flanks for voicing over Flanker in the Speed Coil animation. Starmanz for voicing over the Speed Coil. And Brashy and Luckygamesspider for helping with the I Like It Cut G in-game joke scene. All of their respective links have been left in the description, so make sure to go support these guys directly when you can. They're all amazingly talented in their own ways, and I'm sure you guys would really enjoy what they post. This video wouldn't have been possible without your guys' support, so thank you once again for helping me make this video possible, even with the multiple issues this might have caused you guys. And before I go, I'd like to be honest with you guys about why this video took so long to make. It's just been very difficult for me to focus on making these videos properly since I've been suffering from massive perfectionism issues, which is why it took so long to make this video. Trust me, I could have definitely posted this video a lot sooner, but after taking some time off to refocus on other important things going on with my life, it really made me see how bad my old style of making these stereotype videos was when I came back to my original first script. So I decided to focus on remaking this video the best I could since I wouldn't have been genuinely happy with the results if I posted the old version of this video. So I scrapped my original first script and rewrote it 3 times over until I got something I was genuinely happy with, and it was also thanks to Nemi-sen for taking the time out of her day to help me with the final version of this script, since she helped cut down a lot of the rambling my older scripts had while also making each section as short and sweet as possible. Honestly, without her help, I'd probably still be stuck trying to write this in the first place, so make sure to thank her in the comments. It would really mean a lot to her. Thank you, Nemi, for helping me write and giving me the confidence to write this script in the first place, despite how burnt out I was from this. And hey, if my explanation of why this video took so long to post in the first place angers anyone for some reason, despite my genuine efforts to make these videos better by getting all the support from so many wonderful people, you can send over your hate comments over to my loving assistant Nemi-sen, and she'll respond to your complaints in a timely manner. Anyways, I just wanted to get that off my chest, and I'm sorry for taking so long once again. I can't thank you guys enough for all the support you all give me despite my awful upload schedule, especially with those who personally reached out to me to see how I was doing. It really means a lot to me. And also, please make sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons and leave a comment as well. The support you guys leave really means a lot to me, and I like seeing what you guys have to say on my videos. I'm not sure when I'll be able to post my next stereotype video, but if I find time for it, it'll be on Doctor instead of Mechanic unfortunately, since he has a lot fewer weapons to cover, so it'll be quicker for me to work on it if anything. So I hope you guys understand. Anyways, I'll hopefully see you guys soon enough in the next video. Thanks for watching. Hold on. Okay, this house looks occupied. Go!
Bro, what did Bro do? No. No, my idea was...
I want to find out if we can kill this thing.
Oh, no.
Oh my god!
I had to, like, arm it somehow. You want this missile?
No.
What happened?
I tried like to start. I tried to throw away the nuke into a corner of the map. It just blew up in front of you.
No, that's how it triggers normally.